My name is Jeff Mahiv. Welcome back to our pursuit of making ourselves the best small group leaders we can be. When I do small group leaders training, I often hand out 3x5 cards to everyone in the class, and I have them write down what scares them the most about leading small groups. What's the worst thing that could happen? Today we're going to discuss the most common items that show up on those cards. But before we look at some actual case studies, let me ask you a question. How do you think great small groups operate? Imagine yourself leading a great small group. Does everything go smoothly? When you imagine a great small group, how sterile is it? Does everyone show up on time with their shirts ironed and smiles on their faces? Everyone's cordial to everybody else. They eat one cookie, and then they leave promptly at 8:30. Well, I've seen groups like this, and I have to tell you, it is not a great group. Great small groups are real, and this means that they are messy at times. As we look at these different scenarios, don't think that I'm giving you a script to read when something happens. It will never go exactly this way. But my goal is that you'll see the underlying principles that you can use in many similar situations. So let's dive into some of these tricky issues. What would you do if you were there leading a small group and somebody starts crying? Now, some of you might be thinking, man, if somebody starts crying in my small group, I am jumping in my car and driving away. But think about this for a moment. If somebody comes into your community and starts crying, what are they really saying? They're saying that they feel safe enough to emote, to feel, and to cry. They're hoping that this is a safe enough environment to show how they really feel. So as a leader, what are your options? Well, one thing you could do is you could ignore it and keep on going. And I'll tell you that at the time that might seem very tempting, but it's not a good idea. For the small group leader in this situation, here's my suggestion. Take a breath, make a quick little prayer, Lord help us right here, and then ask a gentle question. Say something like, I notice that you're feeling some emotions. We're here for you. Would you feel comfortable sharing that with the group? Now think about what this says to the crying participant. It says that you notice and that you're willing to stop the agenda for them. As a matter of fact, it tells them that they are the agenda. The fact that you ask if they want to share says that you're willing to give them control of how the next steps go. These are good things. After that, use your instincts and care for the person naturally. And they may say, no, I don't want to share. In that case, you can use some discernment. You might still want to ask a question. It might be good for them to push just a little bit. But most often, they will share. And as the leader, it's your job to guide them through these next few steps. Somebody might want to jump in and try to solve the problem. As a leader, you should say something like, hold on, let them share. Let them share. In every case, it's always good to stop the group and have the whole group pray for the one who needs it, maybe even surrounding them and putting your hands on them in prayer. Now, you may be thinking this would be a horrible day in the life of a small group leader. Not so. Some of the most meaningful, life-changing groups form out of tough meetings just like this. Don't flee from it. As a matter of fact, you should anticipate it. You should long for it. Now, we don't long for people to cry, but we long for the realness. If you want to lead great small groups, you should actually look forward to some of the messiness that will happen. Another common fear that we'll talk about today revolves around how much people talk. Now, today we're only going to discuss the individual that talks too much, but these same ideas can be applied to other situations as well. So think of yourself. You're sitting in the group, and right there, there's the person who talks too much. They always answer the question first, and sometimes with a little more volume than they should. And when they answer with a finality that says this topic is closed. Now hold on right there for a second. Can you feel that feeling? Have you been there before? It's awkward. Let's think about this for a moment. Do you think he just talks too much in your small group? What do you think he does at home? He does the same things. What do you think his friends think? Now you know the answer to that. He doesn't have many friends. What do you think is everyone's reaction to this guy? It's the same as yours. It's the same as mine. We do what everybody does. We ignore him. And what do you think their response is to being ignored? Of course, they talk more and they talk louder because it's apparently the only tool in their toolbox. But when they're talking too much, what really are they saying? They're saying, listen to me, care about me, tell me that I'm significant, tell me that I matter. And unfortunately, our response, even in small groups, communicate that we don't really care that much and that they don't really matter. What would it look like if it was handled perfectly? Imagine if you responded to him in such a way that it affirmed him and it helped him be a better listener. The most effective thing you can do is talk to him first outside the group, one-on-one. Talk to them and say, Joe, I really appreciate your energy and what you bring to the group, but I need your help. I need you to help me get other people in the group to share. And you can even be clearer here as well. You can say something like, in your excitement, sometimes you just share too much and you take up too much of the sharing time. But you're affirming their excitement, but clarifying that they share too much. It's important here to ask him if he really understands. After this discussion, then you can talk to them after the next small group meeting. You can ask them questions like, hey, how'd you do today? Could you tell the difference that you listened more? This will help this person be a better listener in every facet of his life. Now, my main point is this. The very thing that you might be fearing in your small group may actually be the best thing for your group. Don't fear the messiness. Messiness is part of the beauty of small groups. Just imagine, you're sitting there, you're leading a small group, and as the weeks go by, you pray for each other and you care for each other. Everyone's life in your group will get messy sometimes. So the question isn't whether or not that the people in your group are messy. The real question is, do they have a place to go with their messiness? Do you know what I put on my 3x5 card? Do you know what I think the worst thing that can happen in a small group is? That every meeting goes smoothly. No messiness probably means that you don't have a real small group. May you love your group so much that whatever messiness comes to light becomes a blessing.